The youngest of the major beef breeds to reach the green pastures and expansive ranges of North America is the Aberdeen Angus, first imported from Scotland in 1873. 90 years after Shorthorns appeared on American farms, 56 years after Herefords headed westward, and even 24 years after the first Brahman cattle reached this country. A memorial stands as a lasting tribute to a full-sighted Scotchman whose faith in the Bonnie Blacks brought them to America. To the memory of George Grant of Victoria, Kansas. The first Aberdeen Angus cattle imported into the United States were brought to this locality by Mr. Grant on May 17, 1873. Erected by American Aberdeen Angus Breeders Association, Kansas Aberdeen Angus Breeders Association, Kansas Livestock Association, Kansas Historical Society, Kansas State Board of Agriculture, Grant descendants, Phillip family, and public-spirited citizens of Ellis County. Back of today's Aberdeen Angus cattle are more than 400 years of constructive breeding toward perfection in beef production. Angus have been black and hornless since the dawn of history. Early developers of the breed did not have to contend with such minor points as color and markings, horn shape, or extremes in size and type. Rather, Angus breeders have been able to concentrate upon the production of a beef animal carrying a greater percentage of edible product of high quality on a quick maturing, fast gaining animal ready for market and at a premium price at the age of 15 months. Because the basis of soil improvement and conservation is a proper balance between cropped land and grazed grasslands, it's difficult to visualize a sound land use program without livestock. Cattle are needed to utilize our forage and to make our land fertile. While handling of the breeding herd varies in different parts of the country, Angus are readily adaptable to all climatic conditions, and thus grass is probably the most important item in herd management. Constant improvement of pastures in the deep south has brightened the livestock picture. Plantation owners look to greater beef production through improved grasses. Here, crimson clover is grown in a southern pecan orchard. Everywhere there appears more interest in growing better pastures and better cattle. Pacific Coast cattlemen find irrigated pastures profitable. Water for irrigation may come from wells, streams, or mountain reservoirs. In some sections, sprinkler systems are used, and under these conditions, abundant pastures are grown, which will support many head of cattle. On the dry Gulf Coast ranges where the grasses grow sparsely, more acres are required per head. But Angus are popular rustlers here, too. More soil-conserving grass crops in the east make a farm herd of beef cattle a labor-saving and profitable venture. Large herds may require a man who rides the pastures daily during calving season. As new calves are found, they're ear-tagged. This information and the identity of the cow are noted. Later, when the herd is brought into headquarters, the calf's ear tag is removed, the calf is tattooed and vaccinated. Other breeders prefer to tattoo their calves in the pasture at calving time. ' A common practice on farms is the supplementary feeding of beef calves while they're nursing their dams. One method, used by many Midwestern farmers, allows calves to run continually with their mothers by locating a simple creep feeder in the pasture at some spot where cows usually rest, near water and shade. Other cattlemen keep the calves away from the cows part of the time, letting the calves nurse twice a day or during the night. If the calves are with their mothers during the night, they're separated in the morning and penned in comfortable quarters where they have access to a creep feeder during the day. Commercial herds still employ the branding iron in the range country, but the calves going through the corral on this northwestern ranch do so without feeling the customary sharp bite of the lariat rope. Modern equipment does the job efficiently and with less labor. The branding, castrating, and vaccinating of these commercial calves is completed in one continuous operation. First, the squirming youngster awaits the branding iron. Vaccination comes next. Then castration. And this calf is ready to start his trail to America's feedlots and prime steaks. The beginning of a new chapter on America's Angus trails. From the corrals, the cows and calves move to summer pastures in the mountains. These calves will weigh from 450 to 500 pounds when they return from the mountains at weaning time. The hardy blacks are proving themselves on the range. Their resistance to such range troubles as cancer eye, pink eye, and sunburned conditions has made them increasingly popular. In the Southwest, Angus have been used in crossbreeding trials with Brahman cattle. This cross usually results in a black, hornless animal. As an experiment, one western rancher has produced an Angus buffalo cross. The Angus cattle in turn produced a calf sired by a buffalo bull. Commercial cattlemen have discovered that first calf heifers, when bred to Angus bulls, have less calving trouble. Calves are smaller boned, but make rapid growth and heavier weaning weights. The crossbred calf is usually uniformly marked, predominantly black and polled. There's plenty of room for expansion of the beef cattle industry on America's Angus trails. Methods of breeding and feeding for beef have been improved, just as have other agricultural and industrial methods. More good commercial and purebred herds are needed for the farms and ranches. Beef cattle are rugged and can withstand extremes in temperature with very little shelter. They require plenty of fresh water and salt the year around. Modern management methods include the universal use of DDT in the control of flies. Ridding cattle of flies is accomplished through the periodical spraying of barns, sheds, and the herd. The spraying may be done in several ways, ranging from the use of the large sprayers powered by a farm tractor to the small garden-type sprayer. The beef cow herd will run on pasture a major portion of the year. Where winter quarters are necessary, they need not be costly or elaborate. Cattle may be fed in barns or sheds or outside in pastures and dry lots. Silage or hay usually becomes the main feed in the season when pastures are covered by snow or are not making appreciable growth to furnish grazing. When cows and calves at side are wintered on hay, it might be necessary to provide a small amount of grain in addition to the roughage. In some sections, silage provides the winter feed. There are several kinds of temporary and permanent silos. Trench silos frequently hold the feed supply. Silage crops readily grow in every part of the country. Corn is probably the most common crop used for silage. The fundamental purpose of purebred livestock on America's Angus trails is to improve the average quality of beef cattle. The successful breeder of purebreds raises the kind of cattle that gives the commercial producer the best results. Breeders get together at field days and other meetings to study desirable type. The show ring and the achievements of Angus in strong competition with other breeds may be credited with part of the breed's rapid expansion. An excellent job has been done by present-day Angus breeders and fitters. For the greatest success in the show ring, good care, feeding, and management go hand in hand. Besides feeding an economical, well-balanced ration, the good fitter exercises good judgment in the amount given each animal. Breaking the animal to lead is best started early in its life. Well, perhaps two are better than one for this job. Get along, little Dottie. There's pasture at the end of the trail. Grooming plays an important role in the preparation of animals for show ring competition. Daily brushing and curling are a part of the training job before the show. The animal is sprayed with a weak milk dip solution and brushed. Then the wet coat is marked with a curry comb or marker. The hair is pulled up with a stiff rice brush, and last, a comb. Putting on the finishing touches, and the animal is ready to meet competition in the show ring. Purebred breeders find a simple fence-type chute excellent for working their cattle. Here the cattle are secured for various operations, inspecting tattoos, replacing or adjusting neck chains, examining and treating infected feet. When cattle are confined, their feet are apt to grow unevenly and may require occasional trimming. A handy stocks in the barnyard simplifies this operation. Keeping the herd sires in large open pens when they're not in the pastures allows them sufficient exercise to keep thrifty. Boys and girls who enroll in a 4-H beef club or take part in future Farmers of America activities have the opportunity to develop an appreciation for good beef cattle. They also gain valuable experience in fattening beef calves for market and in the production and management of the beef breeding herds. Many successful breeders of registered Aberdeen Angus cattle today got their start in baby beef projects. Their early earnings from the projects were invested in foundation breeding stock. County agents and breed representatives spend much time and effort assisting these junior beef producers. They're ready to help with feeding and other management problems. Yes, along Angus trails are great opportunities for the youthful stock raiser. In a country as vast as ours, there are many varied activities behind the production of prime beef. The purebred breeder constantly strives to produce the ideal type of beef animals. These qualities are transmitted to commercial herds through the use of purebred bulls. Along the Angus trails, better herds of beef cattle dot the farms and ranches, and there are few producers left who are not aware of the greater returns to be derived from the use of good bulls. The production of purebred beef cattle in the range area affords producers of grade cattle an opportunity to secure desirable range bulls that have been raised under similar climatic conditions. In the West, as elsewhere, the Bonnet Blacks are appearing in greater numbers. In the Southwest, more Angus herds are taking their place on the range. More and better beef herds graze the improved pastures of the South. Eastern states are developing their steep slopes into more productive pasture lands. And these pastures are kept more productive through weed control and fertilization. In the North, large areas are devoted entirely to the production of feeder and grass-fat cattle. Commercial production of cattle in the range areas and the fattening of cattle in the Corn Belt states are closely related. Cattle feeding is one of the most practical ways of disposing of grain and roughage on the farm. About 3/4 of the fertilizing constituents of feeds fed to livestock are returned in the manure. Feeding operations largely maintain soil fertility when this manure is returned to the land. Grass-conscious cattlemen look to pasture improvement to increase their beef production. Beef production is a great industry. From the time the beef calf enters the livestock world until he becomes prime beef on the consumer's table, many people take part in the activities of his life. If the calf is a purebred animal of high quality, he may spend his productive life in a breeding herd. Or early in his life, his destiny may point directly to the pasture, the feedlot, and the nation's beef supply. Grass is responsible for the bulk of the beef supply, for a large proportion of all cattle slaughtered have received little feed in addition to grass. Even steers finished in feedlots have made their growth and much of their gain on grass. Angus steers are fast gaining and readily convert grain as well as roughage into beef. The market is the ultimate goal of all breeding and feeding operations connected with the production of beef cattle. Modern markets demand high-quality beef. To produce higher quality beef, it's necessary to start with a higher grade of breeding animals. The packer buyers select Angus steers for their smooth, evenly covered carcasses with a maximum development of the high-priced cuts of meat and a minimum of waste. This load dressed an exceptional 67.45%. Wherever stockmen gather on America's Angus trails, their interest is in the bonny black cattle that are converting our grass and bulky, unpalatable feeds into a concentrated, tasty, and highly desirable food, beef. Without cattle to process this forage into delicious, flavorsome beef, our great grassland agriculture would be of little value. Our herds and our grasslands provide a basis for better living by bringing high-quality, healthful beef to the nation's table.